Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. Today is Thursday, October 31st. Happy Halloween, everyone out there. Whether you're going out trick-or-treating tonight, just staying back to watch some games, hang out with your friends and family, I hope you have a fantastic Halloween. Stay safe out there. I'm Miles Irvin from the Run in the Paint podcast, here to recap all the crazy games from last night on Wednesday. We had 11 games. And a lot of things happened, a lot of great storylines to talk about from last night's action. Before we get into the games, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. We got these recaps coming out Tuesday through Friday. And then the main Run in the Paint podcast on Tuesdays and Friday mornings, YouTube, Spotify. Go check them out. Links will be in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into the crazy games from last night. Again, 11 on the schedule last night. And we'll start with the Eastern Conference Finals rematch. The Boston Celtics, who were undefeated going into last night's action against the Indiana Pacers, who were definitely looking for a win. It had been a pretty big struggle for them so far through the first few games. And after the Pacers had a 24-point lead, gave it up, allowed the Celtics to force overtime, the Pacers were able to hold on for a 135-132 overtime victory thanks to a Pascal Siakam three-pointer with about 5 seconds to go in overtime. This game was wild. This game was absolutely wild. To start, it honestly felt like, kind of similar to the Mavs-Timberwolves game we got, the Western Conference Finals rematch back on Tuesday. This was kind of feeling like the same story that we got from the Eastern Conference Finals last year, where the Pacers, especially at home, they extend a lead against the Celtics. They're looking great. They're pushing the pace. Then they blow the lead. But in those conference finals, the Celtics were able to get the victories. The Pacers were able to hold on to this one. So let's dive into this game. Some main stars, some main standouts from this game before we get to the details of the final minutes or whatever. From the Pacers side of things, it was just great to see Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, both of their stars, play back up to their level. Siakam has been pretty solid, but mainly Halliburton. Halliburton is the engine for this Pacers team. They're one of the few teams where their heart and soul is their star player, or at least the main way they play is based off of their star player, because their pace last season is why they had such a historic offensive scoring season, and they just weren't really having that so far. They were not getting up as many shots. They weren't pushing the ball as much, and because of that, they were not, and they're also, not known for being a very good defensive team either. Because of that, they've been losing some games. So it's good to see them play back up to that level that we saw them play at last year. Especially looking at Tyrese Halliburton, 17 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds, getting up 19 field goal attempts and 10 threes. Even though he didn't shoot the best, 7 of the 19 from the field, 2 for 10 from 3. Still great to see him being aggressive, looking for his shot. Siakam was amazing. He has been an absolute workhorse here to start the season, making tough shots after tough shots. The Pacers' record coming into this game was 1-3. And Pascal, if it wasn't for Pascal Siakam, it definitely could have been way worse. He was the reason why the Pacers were in, some of these matchups, just making tough fadeaway jumpers, some drives to the basket, but mainly some fadeaway pull-up jump shots. He's been awesome to start the season. But a guy for the Pacers who was not in the playoffs for them last year, missed it due to injury, Bennedict Mathurin, took over the game in the third quarter, finished with 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. But in the third quarter alone, Mathurin had 14 points, made his first 4 shots of the period, and that allowed the Pacers to extend their lead. It was about a 10 to 12-point game at halftime of this one, but the Pacers just extended it in the third quarter all the way up to 24 points. And to start the fourth quarter, it was a 21-point lead. The Pacers had extended it a lot. Then the Celtics, interestingly enough, with about 9-10 minutes to go, they started putting in some subs. They started putting in some guys at the end of the bench. Jordan Walsh, Xavier Tillman, Neemias Queta, all checking in, all third-string guys. And right when that happened, the Celtics started going on a run when it was them plus Pritchard, Cornette and Hauser were out there, the bench unit, and then, some of the Celtics starters as well. But, when those guys came into the game, they provided energy, and they were a huge reason why the Celtics got back into this game. Mainly Kata. He was a plus 18 in his 13 minutes. Again, him not coming into the game until really Joe Mazzulla was about to throw in the white flag there, 21-point lead with 9 minutes to go. Then the Celtics started to get going. They had cut the 21-point lead down to 10 with 3 minutes to go. Isaiah Jackson, another guy who had a great game for the Pacers, defensively blocking shots, nice finishes inside. He made a couple free throws, and it was 122 to 110 with 2.5 minutes to go in the game. And then the Pacers did the same thing that happened on Sunday in their loss to Philadelphia in regulation, and that was turning the ball over. Not one time, not two straight times, not even three straight times. They turned the ball over on 4 straight possessions. And you've got to give a lot of credit to that Boston Celtics defense for putting up the pressure, not giving into this game. They could have easily, in the fourth quarter, being like, all right, man, we'll just down 20, we'll let it go. Down 12 with 2 minutes to go. All right, it is what it is. We'll go on to the next game. They did not give up. They wanted to win this game, and their pressure forced the Pacers into turnovers, whether it was travels, offensive fouls, just bad passes, losing the ball. They did a great job defensively forcing turnovers, which led to easy Celtic points, whether it was a Derek White 3, a Derek White layup. He got after he made a nice layup off the glass, he stole the inbound, which led to free throws. Jaylen Brown got a dunk. It was a 3-point game with a minute to go. The Celtics had cut it from 12 to 3 in 1 minute. They scored 9-0 in a minute because they forced a bunch of turnovers. So then in the final minute, Jason Tatum made a couple free throws, had it down to a 1-point game with about 34 seconds to go. And Tyrese Haliburton had it at the other end and made a tough fall-away jump shot. It was a tough shot. That he was able to nail right from that foul line area. And the Celtics opted not to call timeout. Joe Mazzulla doesn't usually call timeouts in those scenarios. They gave the ball to their man, Jason Tatum, comes down the court, steps back for 3 from about the top of the key left wing area, and nails it. Tough shot for Jason Tatum, the step back 3, to tie the game with 14 seconds to go. Then, interestingly enough, no timeout call from Rick Carlisle. I want to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. Rick Carlisle not deciding to use a timeout. With the game tied at 14 seconds remaining, when the Pacers were struggling to generate good offense the last few minutes. I know he had used one before, but he still had one remaining that he could have used. Instead, Tyrese Haliburton comes down, has to take a double clutch pump fake 3 at the buzzer because great Celtic defense. And we go to overtime. And to give the Pacers a ton of credit, after the Celtics had all the momentum on their side, the Pacers played great in overtime. Every time the Celtics hit a shot, they came right back, scored some more points. It was a tie game with 30 seconds remaining. And Jason Tatum took a 3 with about 33 seconds to go. He wanted to go for a 2-for-1 in a tie game scenario to try to get the ball back, have the last shot. Missed it. To me, in overtime, he was settling a lot for some tough 3-point shots, which, it's Jason Tatum. He'll make those shots. It was similar shots to the one he hit at the end of regulation. But I was hoping that he would kind of attack the basket a little bit more. But nevertheless, missed a step back 3 early in the shot clock to go for the 2-for-1. Then the Celtics and Pacers battling for the ball. The Ben Shepherd gets the basketball, and a jump ball is called. It was very close. The Celtics wanted, the Celtics wanted a jump ball. The Pacers thought that they had called a timeout before a jump ball was called. Instead, the Pacers able to get it back. They win the jump ball, and they go for a simple pick and pop with Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam gets it at the top of the key, about to set up in isolation, just fires for 3. And man, that was a pure stroke there by Pascal Siakam to give the Pacers a 3-point lead with 7 seconds remaining. And then, Celtics called timeout with 6 seconds to go. They need a 3. And I think because they were worried about the Pacers fouling them while up 3, so they could only get the 2 free throws. We see it all the time in the NBA now. But because I think the Celtics were worried about that, Jaylen Brown kind of rushed his shot from the left wing with 5 seconds left, and he airballed it. Pacers win 135-132, a big-time victory for the Indiana Pacers. Again, after really struggling to start the season, and they nearly blew this game again. I cannot believe that they turned the ball over that many times. 18 turnovers on the game. But, they got the win, giving the Celtics their first loss of the season. That's definitely a huge confidence booster for the Pacers. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? You lose close games to, some rougher competition, and then you beat the Celtics. Like, it's crazy. On the Celtics side of things, they just weren't really hitting their threes. Credit to the Pacers defense a little bit, but the Celtics, when they're missing shots most of the time, it's on them. Jaylen Brown was 1 for 11 from 3. He was 11 for 30 from the field overall. Tatum, 5 for 18 from 3. I mean, your 2 all-star players shoot 6 for 29 from 3. I mean, that's not the best recipe. You shoot 19 for 57 as a team, but 29 of those attempts, again, coming from Brown and Tatum, who had an off game shooting. Derek White was great on both ends, as he always is. Peyton Pritchard came off the bench, nailing a bunch of threes. Just a good win for the Pacers against the Boston Celtics. Now, moving on to the next game. Let's go to the game that maybe was because of bias, but this was the game that I had as the headline matchup of the game for storylines. 2 great teams going at it. It was the Los Angeles Lakers coming to Cleveland to face the undefeated Cavaliers. Of course, LeBron James making his lone visit of the season to Cleveland, where he spent 11 of his 22 seasons in the NBA with Bronny for the first time. So that was definitely a storyline coming in. And what we got was a complete domination again by the Cleveland Cavaliers, who stay undefeated, now 5-0 on the season, beating the Lakers 134-110. And really, this game was decided in the first quarter, where the Cavaliers outscored the Lakers 43-24, came out on fire. But actually for the first 5-6 minutes, it was pretty back and forth. It was 15-14 Lakers. Then Donovan Mitchell got it going in that first quarter, had 13 in the first quarter, knocked down back-to-back big-time three-pointers to get the Cavs crowd going there in Cleveland. Then the rest of the guys had it going. 8 threes in the first quarter for the Cavs. Then the rest of the game, everyone else once again played very, very well. I was a little bit worried. The fouling is something that was definitely interesting in this game. The Cavs were fouling way too much. When you look at the personal foul numbers, it was 26-7. Cavs had 26 fouls compared to just 7 by the Lakers. And most of those fouls, I want to say, came in the fourth quarter in garbage time. So you take away the fourth quarter. Yeah, there were 4 fouls in the fourth quarter. So 3 quarters into this game, the fouling was 21-3. Look, I know like most NBA fans, when they look at, the Lakers and the amount of free throws that they're able to get, they were able to get 33-8 on the Cavs on that. When a lot of NBA fans see, man, the Lakers are leading the league in free throw attempts and all that stuff, they're going to say, oh, because it's LA. But no, they do a great job of forcing contact. Like, this was a game where they got all those fouls, and the Cavs need to do a better job of not fouling as much. But because of that, Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, their games were a little rough to start, at least. I was worried if that would affect the Cavs later on, because the second and third quarters, the Lakers played the Cavs very even. Honestly, it was just that first quarter that really killed them. But in that first half, because Evan Mobley was in foul trouble, Jarrett Allen absolutely ate. He's been having an incredible start to the season. In this game, had 20 points and 17 rebounds. In the first half, what were his numbers in the first half? 18 and 12 in the first half for Jarrett Allen. He played all but 2 minutes and 6 seconds of the first half because of Evan Mobley's foul trouble. So he was unbelievable once again. Crazy stats so far this season. Jarrett Allen has missed as many shots as he has blocks. Incredible. He's blocked as many shots as he's missed this year. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do to start the season. Then in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, I think Evan Mobley got a little frustrated because of the foul trouble. He was a beast in the fourth quarter when the game was already over. Had a career-high 17 points in the fourth quarter, 17 of his 25. Mobley with 25 points in less than 19 minutes is crazy. It's crazy. You're seeing what happens when he's aggressive, and he's been this level of aggression every single game so far this season, and you're seeing how much of an incredible threat he is on both ends of the floor. I mean, him taking 16 shots in 19 minutes, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, if he's going to be this aggressive, then it's going to be very difficult to beat this Cleveland team, because even though the Cavs, they were great on the offensive end, 58% from the field, 41% from three, had 37 assists in this game. Where they won this game was the defense. Not just in the first quarter where they were dominant, forcing turnovers, but the whole game. The big lineup that Cleveland has when they can throw out Dean Wade, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, it's so tough to score on because all of them can switch out on the perimeter and hold their own at least. Dean Wade was an exceptional perimeter defender last year. He's been holding his own this year. I mean, he and Mobley were the primary defenders on LeBron in this game. Anthony Davis had a little bit of a rough game. I mean, it was definitely his worst game of the season, which 22-13 tells you how amazing he's been coming into the game, the leading scorer in the NBA. LeBron was good, 26.6 boards, 3 assists, but overall the Lakers just didn't come out with the right energy. They were not able to match the energy that the Cavs had, no question about it, to start the game. The Lakers had 20 turnovers, just 21 assists in the game, 6 for 28 from three. I mean, most of their points did come from the free throw line. They had 28 points scored from the free throw line, but the Cavs had 20 more shot attempts and made 11 more threes. They also got up 13 more threes than the Lakers. So huge win for Cleveland. Them being 5-0. This is just the third time in franchise history that the Cavs are 3-0. And it's great to see. Got to give some shout out Darius Garland as well. He's had a very good season so far. I know the numbers are going to be down, but he has had a big time bounce back season. The numbers are just down because he's been shooting less. He's been taking the shots when they've been there, and he's been nailing them at a very efficient rate so far, taking care of the ball a lot better. You can see the incredible playmaking that he has. And then Karis LeVert off the bench, another great game, 16.6 assists. He's been very efficient. His jump shot looks so much better this year than it did last. He's knocking down the threes consistently so far. Now, again, it's just 5 games into the season. We'll see if Karis LeVert and the Cavaliers as a whole can keep this up. But so far, 5 games in, they have been so much better than I ever thought that they would be, coming in here with a new head coach and really beating these teams like they have been. I mean, besides the Knicks game, which was a come-from-behind victory where they really dominated the fourth quarter, Cavs have dominated their opponents so far. And, of course, the first 3 games against the Raptors, the Pistons, and the Wizards. These 2 games, the Knicks and the Lakers games, were going to be huge tests for them. And the Cavs have answered them beautifully. And it is amazing to see what they have been able to do so far. Excited to see them because they still have a bunch of tough tests coming in their way. They'll look to stay undefeated on Friday in a playoff rematch against the Orlando Magic. So that's going to be a lot of fun to check out that game. Next game, let's go to the Western Conference and talk about the OKC Thunder putting on another defensive clinic against the San Antonio Spurs. The Thunder also staying undefeated. They're now 4-0. They defeat the Spurs 105-93. And this really just was a defensive battle. This was a game that coming in, it was going to be, Chet versus Wemby, first matchup of year 2 for both of these guys. And really, Chet Holmgren completely dominated this game. Completely dominated, especially in the first quarter. Hit 3 threes, 19 points, 5 boards in the game, 7 for 10 from the field. And Wembanyama, very quietly, because the league's trying to hide this from their fans. Victor Wembanyama's had a very rough offensive season to start year 2. In this game, had a career low 6 points, only took 5 shots, was 1 of 5 from the field in 27 minutes. And the big thing, he didn't take a single shot in the second half. That's absurd that he wasn't able to get a single shot in the second half. That's unbelievable. The other Spurs played well. Jeremy Sohan has been off to a good start. He had 17 in this game. Harrison Barnes, 18. Chris Paul hit 3 threes, 14 points, 9 assists. Malachi Branham hit some buckets off the bench. But, dude, Victor Wembanyama, man, It's not been good so far, at least on the offensive end. Defensively, he's been very, very good, as we know he is, because he's an incredible alien player. But for the Spurs to be where they want to be going forward, Wemby's got to be able to get more shots, and they've got to look to get him the ball more. But that's also a ton of credit to this incredible Thunder defense, which, again, led by Chet. But Lou Dort was also great offensively. He hit 6 threes. Shea didn't have the most efficient game, but his impact was still always there. Encouraging to see him shoot more threes. I know that's something that will definitely be better for the Thunder if he can get up more threes. Just another impressive performance there by the Thunder. And again, defensively, I want to check real quick because I didn't take a look at this before I started recording at OKC's defensive numbers so far. But okay, so against the Hawks on a Sunday, they gave up 104 points. That's the only time they've given up 100 points so far. 87 to Denver, 95 to Chicago, 104 to Atlanta, and 93 to the Spurs. They've put on a defensive masterclass so far this season, and they've just been looking great. They've been looking fantastic. So shout out to the Thunder and the Cavaliers, the only undefeated teams remaining in the NBA. Crazy stuff here to start the season. Some other games from the schedule last night. We had the New York Knicks taking on the Miami Heat. Two teams looking to do some decent things in the Eastern Conference this year. Of course, the Knicks much higher aspirations, but the Heat definitely a capable team of getting into the postseason. And the Knicks coming off of a loss to Cleveland in their last game, definitely looking to bounce back in this one. And you could tell that there was a major focus from the start of this game, and it was to get their center, Karl-Anthony Towns, involved right from the get-go. And he finished with 44 points and 13 rebounds in this game to lead the Knicks to the 116-107 victory in Miami. They're now 2-2 on the season. They're back up to 500. But I think that's where we really have to talk about this game when it comes to the Knicks. So far through the first 3 games of Karl-Anthony Towns' tenure with New York, they were kind of having a hard time figuring out how to really use his skills because he's such an incredibly talented player, and he's different from the other players that they've had there before, especially Randall. He's a lot different than Julius Randle. He does get when you say like he does get the ball in the post, he does shoot threes, but they weren't running as many pick and rolls for him through the first 3 games. They were getting the ball to him in the post a decent bit, but they weren't sure really how to play around that. In this first quarter, he had 8 shot attempts right off the bat. In the first 3 games of the season, he was averaging just about 9 field goal attempts per game. And he got 8 right off the bat to get him going. He had 12 points in the first quarter, 5 of 8 from the field, hit a couple of threes. And that just led him on to the rest of the game in the fourth quarter where he took over, had 14 in the fourth quarter, 6 of 7 from the field, had an and one, hit a huge 3. And he was really the big difference in this game. And, of course, the rebounding was amazing. Josh Hart grabbing 14 boards was huge. And they were able to withhold this Miami Heat team that had a good offensive game. This was a pretty clean offensive game for both sides. The difference really was just Karl-Anthony Towns was by far the best player on the court, and it was because they made a focus to get him the ball early. That's what when you have a player as talented as Karl-Anthony Towns, you got to look to get him the ball, and they did. They ran a lot more pick and rolls, pick and pops for him in this game, gave him the ball a ton in the post because they saw he had it going. Brunson and Bridges weren't the most efficient in this game, but you see, it didn't matter because Towns was just feasting in this game. So shout out to the Knicks for getting this victory. Interesting, again, the Knicks heavily relying on their starting lineup. The starter that played the least amount in this game was Jalen Brunson, who played 36 minutes. They played Jericho Sims for just 9 minutes. He played all the minutes that Towns did not play, and they were not good minutes. Towns was a plus 15 in this game, which was also great to see because that's something that we had not seen a lot of so far, especially in that Cavs game. His defense kind of took him out of the game. He was good defensively in this one. Just an all-around great game for Towns. But, the Knicks running essentially 7 to 8 or a 6 to 7 man rotation. here in this game with just the combined minutes. Cameron Payne only played 11 minutes. Sims, as I said, 9. Then Deuce McBride off the bench with 25. We'll see how longer the Knicks can really play with this shallow of a rotation here. This early into the season. This is only the 4th game of the year. On the Miami Heat side of things, Tyler Hero had a huge game in this one. 34 points, 5 boards, 7 assists. Hit 8 threes in the game. Terry Rozier was decent once we got into the 4th quarter. He had really struggled. Just 3 points going into that quarter. Had 13 in the 4th. Had 7 assists. Hit 4 threes. Man, just a little disappointed in Jimmy Butler and Bam. Just for the numbers, they have not been that great. Jimmy had a great game in Charlotte, I want to say, a few games ago. But so far, the way that those two guys have played is that's not the best recipe for them moving forward. At least that's what I think. But the Knicks, great defensive team, and they made things tough for the Heat. And, it's not like Butler or Adebayo really forced anything either as far as shooting the ball goes. Took a combined 16 shots, took the shots when they were there. They saw that Hero had it going, Rozier in the 4th quarter, so they got it to them. They'll be fine. I mean, they're back down to 500. We'll see how they can play following this. Let's take a quick break right here. Once we get back from this break, we will take a look at the rest of the games from last night. So stay tuned. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Getting back to the action from last night, let's go to another game in the Eastern Conference that had another wild comeback here by the Chicago Bulls. Their 2nd straight 20-point comeback. This time it was defeating the Orlando Magic 102-99 thanks to just an all-around performance. It was really a team win for the Chicago Bulls in this one, and they now go to 3-2 in their first 5 games of the season. Are the Bulls trying to be good this year? Oh, crazy stuff there from the Bulls so far. But, yeah, man, they were down by 20 points early in this game. The Magic got off to a great start defensively, but then the Bulls turned it on. They had 68 points in the 2nd and 3rd quarters. 1st and 4th quarter was a drag, especially the 4th quarter was 16-12. Definitely a drag in this one, but for the Bulls side of things, Kobe White had 21. Josh Giddey has been very good, at least offensively. 20 points, 11 boards, 5 assists, 4 for 4 from 3. He's been nailing his threes so far for the Bulls. Patrick Williams hit a huge 3 in the late minutes of that game. Nick Vucevic, 18, 14, and 5, had a huge block in the final couple minutes on Paolo Banchero. Zach LaVine threw in 10 rebounds. Ayo Dosunmu with good defense. This was just a great team win for the Chicago Bulls against the Orlando Magic. Paolo Banchero, another great game, 31.7 boards. In the final minutes of this one, this was a very close game. The Bulls were clinging to a 2-point lead with about 20 seconds remaining, and Jalen Suggs ended up taking a tough fadeaway shot from the free throw line. Decent look. Paolo didn't touch the ball or get a look at this shot because Pat Williams was playing some good off-ball defense on him. Suggs missed the shot. Bulls get the rebound with 0.1 on the clock. Giddey makes 1 of 2 free throws. And then Paolo makes a half-court shot. He makes a half-court shot, but because there was only 0.1 seconds left, didn't count. But that was unbelievable that Paolo made that half-court shot. But overall, good win for the Chicago Bulls. Magic, fortunately, blowing that 20-point victory. They fall to 3-2 on the season here. Yeah, they fall to 3-2 on the season. Bulls now up to 3-2. Other games around. We'll stick in the Eastern Conference. A few more games to go over here. The Washington Wizards, their 2nd straight win over the Atlanta Hawks in a very high-scoring game, 133-120. Able to combat some monster stat lines from Trae Young and Jalen Johnson. Thanks to Bilal Coulibaly, who has been balling for the Wizards. He's been one of their few bright spots so far, but when you look at this game, this was definitely their best performance of the season so far. I'll tell you what, for a team that is starting 3 rookies at this point of the season, they're starting Bub Carrington, had a very good game, 16, 6 and 6, 5 of 8 from the field, took the shots when they came. Alex Sarr has been very good defensively. Offensively, he's kind of just been used as a pick and pop player. He's been taking a lot of threes so far, but he had a good game. And then Keyshawn George, 11 points, 4 assists in the start there. And then Bilal Coulibaly has just been looking very, very good. We know defensively that he's a beast. We've seen that the last couple seasons. Last season. But what he's been doing offensively has been very, very impressive. 11 for 14 in this game, 3 of 5 from 3. Is able to do a lot of things in transition. And if he's able to get that outside shot at a consistent rate going, I mean, that's just great. It's great for the Wizards. You can see what they're building here with this team. It's definitely not this year. They're definitely a few years down the line. But defensively, they are going to be looking scary when you look at Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, what Bub Carrington can do with Keyshawn George on the offensive end. I like what they're building so far. If they can keep playing offense like this, then that's definitely a good trajectory. This is kind of a game this is a win that is kind of like a glance into the future with all these young players playing super well in the win. Meanwhile, for Atlanta, though, for a team that is in that play-in hunt, I know that Joey has them super high in his Eastern Conference predictions. Back-to-back losses to the Wizards is not the best. Definitely not the best way to go about it. But shout out to the Hawks starters for playing a good game. Offensively, defensively, they definitely have a lot to work on. There was no Dyson Daniels in this one, so their defense definitely took a hit. But Zachary Risachet, the number 1 pick, I haven't really talked about him a whole lot this season. Getting the start, had 17 points and 6 rebounds, 7 of 15 from the field. Wizards get the victory there. Their second straight one over the Atlanta Hawks. Going to Philadelphia, the Detroit Pistons finally get their first victory of the season, a 105-95 victory. Sixers again without Paul George, Joel Embiid, still waiting for them to come back. Tyrese Maxey had a good game, but good to see the Pistons getting their first victory. Although they've got a 1-4 record so far, they've been working super hard. They've been playing some tough basketball. Good to see them get a road victory. And then the final game in the Eastern Conference was the Charlotte Hornets winning another high-scoring game against the Toronto Raptors, 138-103. In a weird game, a weird stat line. This is one where, this is kind of the identity with the Raptors, where they're not a very good defensive team besides when they put full court pressure on. Like, they're a decent defensive team, but they're also high scoring because they force turnovers and immediately score off them. But they don't have the individual defense. The Raptors are a weird team. They're just a weird team. But for the Hornets, they got some unexpected performances from a lot of guys. Nick Richards had 24 points, 14 boards, 4 assists, and 4 blocks. He's a guy that's been slotted into that center position with Mark Williams injured yet again. And he's been good. He's been getting some nice experience there in that starting position. And then off the bench, Trey Mann continues his incredible start to the season. He had 27 points, Grant Williams 17, and then Cody Martin, the other Martin twin, had 25 points in 25 minutes, a career high for Cody Martin. He hit 4 threes, 9 for 11 from the field. And then LaMelo did his thing as well. The Hornets getting another win there against R.J. Barrett, who played well, 31 points, 8 assists in his second game of the season. Grady Dick with 30. Again, he's going to have all the opportunity in the world to get his scoring numbers up, being the lone starting shooting guard there. Jakob Poeltl, 20 points, 16 rebounds. Unfortunately for the Raptors, no Scotty Barnes in this one. He's going to be out for the next 3 weeks due to injury. So, the Raptors could just keep on losing games. I'm sure that may be what they prefer to do this season since they have their own draft pick this season. Going to the Western Conference for some more action, the Brooklyn Nets in Memphis took down the Grizzlies 119-106. Another game where Dennis Schroeder completely controlled on the offensive end. And look at them, stealing another win from a good team or a team looking to do some big things in the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Edey finally had a good offensive game for the Grizzlies, but wasn't enough to take down the Brooklyn Nets, who take down another decent team. That's their third competitive game against a good team. I'm telling you, man, Brooklyn is not going to be that good this season, but all their wins are going to come against quality opponents. It's going to be a weird year for the Brooklyn Nets. Let's see. The Portland Trailblazers in LA against the Clippers stole one from the Clippers, winning it 106-105. This was a crazy finish down the stretch. It was kind of going back and forth. But in the end, Anthony Simons, DeAndre Ayton leading the way for the Blazers for their second victory of the season. They were able to hold on by the skin of their teeth when James Harden turned it over in the final 3 seconds, trying to lob it to Zubats for a paint touch in the final seconds against Ayton. But that was able to do it. That was the game. And the Blazers' defense was good in this one as well. Late in the game, Denny Avdia made some big plays for them. We know that. Who's the other player? Oh, Tamani Kamara against James Harden. I know that's Knicks boy. I don't know why I forgot about him. But Tamani Kamara, who's in his first couple seasons, has gotten a lot of chances to start and play huge minutes. This one played very well defensively against James Harden down the stretch. Some key blocks by Denny Avdia, and then the steal there by DeAndre Ayton, and then Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson on the offensive end, getting the Blazers the victory. A tough loss for the Clippers, though. You know, they were even saying it on the broadcast there. You know, for the Clippers, a team that is looking to get into the play-in this season, looking to stay competitive, these are the type of games that you have to win. Like, you just cannot afford losses against a young Portland Trailblazers team. And then the final game, the Golden State Warriors, another impressive victory without Steph Curry, dominate the New Orleans Pelicans 104-89. Second straight game where they really clamp up on the Pelicans in this one. For the Pelicans offensively, it was Jordan Hawkins and Jose Alvarado that were doing most of the damage because Brandon Ingram and Zion were pretty quiet. Ingram was not really able to get it going, only took 11 shots. He was 5 for 11 from the field, but the big one here was Zion going 5 for 20 from the field, and all the credit has got to go to Draymond Green. Doing it once again, had 5 blocks in this game, was fantastic. He is still an elite defender even at this point of his career. And then they just got contributions from everywhere else. Buddy Hield had 21 off the bench. He's their leading scorer on one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Jonathan Kuminga, another good game off the bench, 16 points all around from Brandon Podziemski. Hope he's okay. Took a rough hit there near the end of the game, but good victory for Golden State. Again, you know, I mentioned this last night with me talking about the Warriors beating the Pelicans on a Tuesday night. You know, I was definitely worried about how the Warriors would play without Steph Curry if he went down with injury. So far, they have looked amazing. And it's mainly been defensively. I mean, offensively, they just play Warriors basketball, and the ball's going to find the sharpshooters, and they're going to knock down their shots. Defensively has been where it's been really impressive, and getting these 2 victories without Steph Curry is monumental for this team. Definitely huge for the Golden State Warriors. There's a look at all 11 games from last night. Now let's get into the MVP of last night. And with so many games going on, there were definitely some candidates out there for this award. But in the end, it goes to Karl Anthony Towns for his 44-point game against the Miami Heat last night. Definitely a much-needed performance from Cat after, you know, not really being involved much in the offense through the first 3 games of the season. So shout out to Cat and the Knicks for that performance in Miami against the Heat. Now, before we get out of here, let's take a look at the schedule for tonight on Halloween. Only 4 games going on NBA TV. First at 7:30 p.m., the Bucks and Grizzlies will face off in Memphis in a game where both of these teams are desperately seeking for wins. I know I've been saying that a lot for some of these teams. Both of these teams need it bad. The Grizzlies coming in on the second half of a back-to-back. Bucks on a 3-game losing streak have not been looking that good. Trying to gain an identity. They'll try to get it in Memphis against Ja Morant, hopefully in the Grizzlies. We'll see if he plays on the second night of a back-to-back. And then the nightcap, the Phoenix Suns and the LA Clippers. They're already back in the Intuit Dome after just 8 days after playing there last Wednesday. They're back at it again, the Suns and the Clippers. Clippers looking to bounce back after this tough loss to Portland. And Phoenix looking to keep their good start to the season going, man. Looking for a 2-0 sweep at the Intuit Dome to start the season. And then the League Pass schedule, just 2 games going on. The Houston Rockets visiting the Dallas Mavericks, and then the Spurs and Jazz from Utah. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. We will be back tomorrow to go over those Halloween matchups. Thank you guys so much for watching again. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.